often. 14 years ago, I was on a training mission. Did a military free fall, and I had some faulty equipment. I hit the ground going 30 to 40 knots and was instantly paralyzed. I met Jack Fenning when he invited us to Park City, Utah through his foundation. I was able to actually get on the mountains and ski with my family. I can't put it in words what that meant. I got paid in the military and training all this stuff. And after my accident, I was still that same guy when I was able to jump out of a perfectly good helicopter at 10,000 feet. I did it. I was talking to some vets last week.
Is it loud?
Amazing how you have these houses where they can come over because they're in chairs too. Carpet and wheelchairs don't mix very well.
Is that good or no?
Towers, they got rid of all that. They redid my whole bathroom. That's part of the favorite part of my house.
Good. That's all I need to know.
But the surprise to me was they paid off the entire mortgage. When they told me they were going to pay off my mortgage, I cried. Please contribute $11 a month by visiting t2t.org now. I teach honors economics at Bethel High School.
I was a chief nurse at a hospital in Vintage.
Okay, we're working through some gigs here. This is obviously going to be rebroadcast after. And my problem that I'm going to have is that I'm listening to it in my earphone, but that is set at a different. So it's like a 2 or 3 second delay. So I'm going to mess this up.
My primary function.
And I'm praying CNN doesn't kick me off.
I do so with purpose. Count my attention. You want that?
Gonna kick off in. Oh, I owe $629 to State Farm. Good.
President Biden and former President Trump about to take the stage in Atlanta. Get some final thoughts here. We'll go down the row. Harold?
No audience, I think, allows for a more sustained and serious debate about real issues. And the winner of that will be the people, because we'll be an opportunity to see it. So I'm looking forward. Dana?
This is the first time that people will be able to hear a little bit more than one-word answers from Joe Biden, who just shouts yes, no to the press corps when they walk by. The other thing, there's an elephant in the room, and it is the Vice President of the United States. And you bet that President Trump will bring her up, and that a lot of voters are listening to find out what he's going to say about that.
I'm retired from making bold predictions, so I will be saying that nothing will change.
I'm gonna try something new.
The polling will stay the same. The race is locked in.
Because I'm gonna rebroadcast this on my, oh, this is confusing. I have an echo.
It's not bold though.
So I'm talking here, but then I'm listening.
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure on
Now it's
moderators
looping.
and on CNN.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use all black,
Totally
and I'm gonna use
they've been struggling with
distilled
language
water
for years now.
to
But
thicken.
now they've ended up in a situation where it's gonna be everywhere. And I think it's taken very hot, and they were finished there tonight is on the cable channels, the way they have on so many other occasions, it can be amazing graphic.
All I'm doing now is just prepping everything. I'm using dynamic ink,
So I think they cannot afford
using distilled water. My needle I'm using is a wormhole.
But a lot of this can be digested.
My machine
in clips.
is a Mass Pro Archer. I'm set at 7.8, and I'm using a standard 7-round liner. And this is what I'm doing.
That having meeting Joe Biden, now he's beating him on likely voters among independents. In the mainstream media polls,
This is what I did yesterday.
that don't want Trump to win, their polls consistently show why is it relevant?
This angel is the one that my son is going to be getting.
Donald Trump on personality.
So I'm knocking out one more time.
Any chance of closing the gap on everybody's polling is 7 swing states, and nationally it shows Trump with his tremendous.
My beautiful assistant is here.
Chance of Trump winning. That will change, but it's headwinds. And if you try to battle Trump with his
Wave your hand.
personality, you run into a buzzsaw. Biden's got to go after him with policy.
In front of that one.
Think about how much has transpired in the
There
30
she
years
is.
since the first presidential debate. We
I
were
got her
in
to
that-
smile.
It was the heat of COVID. And so much has changed in our country since then, on every single issue in this country and around the world.
Yeah.
This is a moment.
I wish I was able to bring up a poll or something for,
It's going to be stunning moment.
because I saw a couple people on here doing gambling. There is gambling in Vegas as well. What they're gonna do is,
It's real time.
they're betting on
And former
what topic comes up. God, this is confusing.
It is their first face.
I can hear myself, so it messes me up.
In the race.
But yeah, they have gambling bets on what they're going to say first, on what phrases they're gonna say first, what they're gonna bring up, even the color of their tie.
News Channel, and afterwards, we'll have the post-debate analysis.
Obviously,
And Trump will take over.
Trump is gonna be red and Biden is gonna be blue, so that's a no-brainer.
You know, you can just sort of hear their hearts palpitating probably from both sides of the stage at this point.
Both men will walk out onto the stage. They will face each other for the first time in 4 years. They've talked.
This is unbelievable because I don't know if anybody,
When
when you watch this later in the rebroadcast,
the two men on
the rules that were set forward.
is on the line.
We'll see if there is a handshake here, and we'll watch this.
Here we go.
right now. His case to the American people was just over 4 months until election day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Dick Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead,
He's a dick.
anchor of State of the Union. Dana and I
She's a
will
bitch.
co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home.
Check these rules out.
President Trump will be on the left side of the screen. President Biden will be appearing on the right. A coin toss determines their positions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on, and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand for viewers at home. At the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight. Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to.
By accepting, like Trump had a choice.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Look at him. I am a robot. God, he looks prehistoric.
President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Look at this badass. He's got his pants pulled up like the goddamn mob back in the 40s, like Dillinger. They didn't shake hands.
Thanks so much for being here. Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We gotta take a look at what I was left when I became president, and what Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. Pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious.
What's-
Just inject a little bleach in your arm. It'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do was try to put things back together again. And that's exactly what we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs. We brought
It's
out
horse from
a position where we had 800,000 manufacturing
rehearsals.
jobs. But there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I come from a household where the kitchen tables, things weren't able to be met during the month was a problem. price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. That we're gonna make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're gonna make sure we build 2 million new units. We're gonna make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination of what was left of the corporate greed is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, those things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we have a situation where we brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people. To $15 for a insulin shot as opposed to $400. No senior has to pay more than $200 for any drug, all drugs that can include beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country, and we have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country, but other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs, to bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world, he's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else that thinks that we have the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter
China
is that
has the best economy.
we find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant in the military. When he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we still found ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up.
Look at that kissy
Well,
face.
you can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that doesn't drive prices even higher?
Not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. Now, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years, under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration...
Biden looks like he's confused. He doesn't even know where he's at.
$4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39% plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were
My eyes are proud,
trillions of dollars back into
afraid
our
to make
country.
noise.
The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. When the vaccine went out, he did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election, trying to go after his political opponent. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation. And it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question.
Look at him.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, he got $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America, billionaires in America.
Oh my
What's
God.
happening? They're in a situation where they in fact pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say. in a
Oh
10-year
my
period.
God.
We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with.
Oh my God. Look at him.
Look, if
Oh
we
no.
finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Wow.
Well, he's right, he did beat Medicare, he beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare. Because all of these people are coming in, they're putting them on Medicare, they're putting them on.
Wow. Biden
Social
is.
Security. They're gonna destroy Social
This is going to be
Security.
worse
This
than
man
I
is gonna
thought.
single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people coming in, they're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security, he will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence, and it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people, they cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President Trump. Cam?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
Yes.
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion bill, and I agree with the decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that
That's
you're
why I'm
asking,
not president.
they're complex, but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this is getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different. Florida is different. But they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people. Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth.
Oh, you
after
know what?
birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the
What?
vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they were all against it. It's just ridiculous. And this is the guy who said the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know if you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including the young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she
Oh my God,
was
he's a
murdered
mess.
by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just
What's wrong with them?
and that you do nothing about it. And then try to arrest them when they cross state line.
Thank you.
That's twice he got cut off.
Are the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. And in many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have actually, everybody wanted it brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought
Biden
back.
fell asleep.
Many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states.
She's a
I'm going to
bitch.
do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I support Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time between the woman and the doctor. Second time between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders want the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health.
He's not even making
ridiculous.
sense.
That's the last. No politician should make that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life of the baby in the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, Take it
Wow.
after birth. Again, the governor, former governor of Virginia, put the baby down.
I feel bad for him.
So he's willing to, as we say.
I do. I feel bad for him.
In the 9th month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen. Democrat or Republican, nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only one's life is in danger, she's gonna die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years.
Well, not anymore.
Said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy, who became very conservative members on the Supreme Court, takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? In fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board, at 6 weeks to 7 or 8 or 10 weeks.
What's he going to do with
Very,
what?
very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the issue of immigration and border security. President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some
Charles.
cases causing real safety and security concerns.
What's up, my brother?
Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Just wasting
We
time.
worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, and made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed me.
Fuck you, they did.
In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure
Wow.
they're separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative.
What were we talking about?
More border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of this.
Yeah, he rambled off.
Look, we have the safest border in the history of our country. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere, all over the world. They're pouring in.
The Congo.
Just left it open, and he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said close the border. We have the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything across the border is one who came along and killed 3 in his administration, killed Al Qaeda person in his administration.
What?
Killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there.
There were terrorists born.
No terrorists ever got through with the idea. They're emptying their prisons.
Weren't they, Charles? That was Fort Hood.
There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those
Yes.
whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived
Yes.
here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second, he said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, the 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists anywhere in the world, and it had a huge impact on everything, not just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with a bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying, and also killing our citizens when they come in. We are living right now in a rat's nest. They're killing our people in New York, in California, and every
Texas today.
state in the union, because we don't have borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden
crime.
They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just at the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taking place. What's taking place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized
Look at
country
him.
now.
He looks
doesn't want
confused.
to, he just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't
Amen.
care about our veterans. He doesn't like the military at all. And he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved. They abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie.
Fuck
Every
you.
single one. For example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since they passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And he opposed it.
Oh, Charles, I just noticed.
For
You're
all
the
this
moderator.
situation,
Move, Bo.
we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War II cemetery, World War I cemetery, he refused to go to. He was sitting with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers.
Wow.
My son is not a loser, he's not a sucker. You're the sucker, you're the loser.
President Trump.
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine. It was failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taking better care. I'm so glad this came up and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have.
Yep.
To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up
He
by
looks
him,
confused.
just like Russia was made up. Just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up. Just like the new thing with the 16 in Congress are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son Hunter. It wasn't Russia disinformation. He made up the suckers and losers, so he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing at your side was on your staff who said you said it. Period. That's number one.
Oh,
And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their families. The only separate obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
The topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander in chief, if that's what you call him,
Look at
that
him.
we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, a president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are.
What happened? Turd fuck. Okay, everybody, patience, patience, patience. What happened to the debate? Oh shit. They took it off. They took it off because they knew that Biden was fucking up. I guarantee you that YouTube found out who was doing these, because the person that put this video out is some Arab. See, all we can look at is the crowd. You gotta be fucking kidding me. They did this to block the people. Wow. Why would they do that?
And they've lost.
Okay.
Thousands and thousands.
Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down, Charles.
President Trump,
I never said that.
for 1 minute, I just wanna go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine.
No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should never happen. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
I believe it.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire. Not just a piece, he wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? You think he'll stop when he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, by the way, all that money we give Ukraine, weapons we make here in the United States, we give them weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan before. It's just 3 stages to it. The first stage is treat the hostages for a ceasefire. The second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. We don't want to say that. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're trying to say the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it was stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so that's the two different things. Hamas cannot allow it to continue. We continue to send our experts and we're telling people as to how we can get Hamas like we did that line. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened Hamas.
God, he's a stud motherfucker.
It should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Let's get back to Ukraine for 1 second.
What?
We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting more. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them as far as Israel and Hamas. Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish his job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
President Biden.
He's one that doesn't wear a hijab because he's a bitch.
This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You going to see NATO? You're going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. Maybe a big ocean. Every able to avoid a war in it in Europe, a major war in Europe. What happens if we continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. It's just what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation is a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I make great trade deals with the European nations. Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were with no cars. They don't want anything that we have. But we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? In a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next month. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that day, some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Why do they committee believe that? And let me tell you about January 6th.
The only one who believes it is you, Tapper.
We had a great border. Nobody coming through. Very few.
Fucking scumbag.
On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point we'll be talking about.
Yeah.
Where he goes after his political opponents because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they said, but she's saying, oh no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th, they're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know.
It was recorded in a limo.
Because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
He fell asleep.
Let me encourage those folks to look at Capitol. Number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side of the House to do something, call for a stop, to end it. Instead, he talked about the people being patriots and the great patriots of America. In fact, he says he'll not
Say hi to Charles.
They've been convicted.
Hi,
He
Charles.
wants to commute their sentences.
Type it in. See what you're the moderator.
He went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did the damn thing. And these people should be in jail. And they should be being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says that he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President.
You just called it.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, and you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, if you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there, with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at
They took over a fucking police headquarters.
They took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw that coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so
That's good. So you got the wrench next to your name.
The unselected committee.
That's Charles.
Basically, two horrible Republicans that are all gone now out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President.
Fuck yeah.
President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person in the stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at.
Oh,
The fact
you
of the matter
dick.
is, what he's telling you is simply
On
not
what
true.
charges?
The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned over statues. The idea that those people are patriots, come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, the first time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boy? He said, no, I tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What do you think?
Good.
I'm gonna give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about
Yeah,
members
they
of
did it
the
to him.
committee on January 6th going to jail.
Tit for
Your
tat.
political opponent is
Motherfucker.
standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon.
Oi.
At a very high level. His son is convicted. He's going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death causes at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion if you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said.
Biden looks like
One response, go ahead.
he needs a nap.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. Simply,
You did?
President's never spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. Think of all the civil penalties. How many millions of dollars are in civil penalty for molesting a woman in public, or doing a whole range of things, having sex with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? Well, what are you talking about? You're getting the rules of Malachite.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official at DOJ into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won.
He is tripping over his words.
Terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrats.
But I don't think it is.
Prosecutors were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found
Charles
out about
was
these
part
cases,
military as well.
my poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam. And it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And you've got more proof. He's got a lot of cases down there. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the jury will do, but I do know he has no problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? Well, got me involved around the first person.
What did he say?
I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq. I said I wouldn't have been running it until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic choir they sang when back in Germany.
Oh my God.
I spoke to the mother, and they asked him, they said, what do you think of those people? The people who, the ones that wanted to try to stop it, and the ones that said, I think the fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say, Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing,
Shut up.
saying anti-Semitic choir, carrying swastikas, the fine people. This is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story's been totally wiped out. Because when you see the sentence, it said, 100% exoneration on this, so he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every anchor, every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden.
And debunk, it happened. All you have to do is listen to what I said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those goods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. The idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw it with our own eyes. We saw it happen on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying them. His own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to enforce this. His vice president had enforced this. So why? Why? They know the model. They serve it. Why are they not enforcing it?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
The first, what I would like to do, and I hope they're showing it. I want to see, because they're not allowed to have any type of interaction with anybody. No, nothing. Like cosmetic people can't come up. They can't fix Trump's hair. Look how they fucked up his hair in that picture. Come on, Jesus Christ! Don't do the man dirty like that. What are you laughing at over there? But I want to see what Biden's doing. Like, I almost guarantee he's having a seat. He's got to be sitting down, maybe having some orange Gatorade, because that's what he says he likes.
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN.
Jesus. This is way behind the power curve. So I don't know, Charles. You probably went into service when the first Bush was in. Because Clinton took office 92. I'm probably wrong. I'm an idiot. But I think Bush was in office. Do you think what do you think the difference is between then and now with military? And I pray I didn't lose this. Yeah, they are ruthless, brother. That's why I don't know if I'd ever be able to be a politician. I am having that echo. I don't like talking. I think if I put something else on, they're gonna. You know what I don't understand? I could put any video on, and they won't take it down. But if I play any type of music, they'll fucking. Well, I'm not monetized anyway, so does it really matter? Or do they take the video down? Do you know, babe?
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know if they demonetize it or
They take the whole video down.
because some might be considered copyright. So
Fuck them.
I don't know.
You're good with people, babe. Go tell them to go fuck themselves. Okay. I wish there was a way. Oh, you know what? Why don't I put both in? Okay. Perfect. Now I can't hear shit.
Let's talk about persistent challenges you both faced in your first terms and you certainly face again in the second term. President Biden, while Black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, Black families still earn far less than white families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die of pregnancy-related causes, and Black Americans are in prison at 5 times the rate of white Americans.
He's playing tic-tac-toe or something.
You are disappointed that you haven't made more progress.
He always made a lot of progress, number one. Fact of the matter is, more small Black businesses that were started in entire history. Number two, the wages of Black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing for Black Americans.
What?
And dealing with the segregation.
What the fuck did he just say?
These corporate operations collude to keep people out of their houses. In addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that Black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce Black child care costs by cutting them in half. We gotta make sure we provide the child care costs. We gotta make sure because when you provide that child
For my
care
tattoo channel, I'm switching to a standard 11 round shader. Big wasp.
So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up,
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to Black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
My mom was Black.
Inflation is still hurting the Black. For example, I provided the idea that any Black family, first-time homebuyer should get $10,000 tax credit.
My uncle was Black.
So they can get started.
Cannibals ate him.
Sure that we're in a situation where all those Black families and those Black individuals, provided they have to take out student loans that were polluting, that they were decades of nursing, doctor, and anything else.
Anyway.
If they paid their bills for 10 years, and to ensure that all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're gonna do a whole lot more for Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right, it's very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing Black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled, tripled, and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave them a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All you had to do was leave it alone. He destroyed
Leave it alone.
Green New Scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the Black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking Black jobs now. And it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking Black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you, President Biden.
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 50% unemployment. He decimated the economy. Actually, decimated the economy.
Decimated.
No inflation at the time.
He said decimated.
Provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in bulk communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they have health insurance. We have covered with the ACA as recruit. I made sure that they're $8,000 per person written off for healthcare. This guy wants to eliminate it. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again. And they're going to try again. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing it, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity, making sure people shop to make it. There's a lot going on. Inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Another persistent
I
challenge
feel
is the
bad.
climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronting the devastating effects.
It's like when Grandpa farts at the
intensifying
kitchen table, nobody's wants to acknowledge it.
Former President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name, and he called it to overtake, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea. It was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers for that in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever. The best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But when you see these millions of people pouring into our country and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and we haven't seen anything yet, it's a disaster.
38 seconds left, President Trump. Will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely
Drill, baby,
clean
drill.
air, and we have it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever, and we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 million for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college or doing any white student can do. He doesn't have the money now for being able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he's kind of claiming to have done something to have clean water, he didn't know a damn thing, anybody. He thought of the Paris Peace Accord, climate accord. I immediately joined it.
He's stumbling like he's drunk.
And then there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change. And he didn't do a damn thing about it.
This is sad.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing.
Me more.
It was a ripoff of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because it treated us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money, nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I think I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want
Beautiful woman to get me a Bruma.
I have the biggest smile on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence. We're not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything in the United States to get us under control? One of the largest producers in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have crucial in half. We've made significant progress. We'll continue to make progress. We set up a climate corps. There's thousands of young people learning how to deal with that, just like Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements that cause pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for once voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay it. And by the way,
That's the third time he's got cut off.
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits cut in just over 10 years. Will you name tonight one specific step you're willing to take to keep Social Security solid?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck. Every single time they get a paycheck, it's on the first one they get under 18 years.
Did you get that, Dr. Perry?
The idea that they're gonna, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, not raising the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, it began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other?
Are you gonna answer the question
Be
now?
able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, that one will keep it solid. The biggest thing will do, we defeat this man because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times.
No, he doesn't.
And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that he supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the AC, as I said, we're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people do not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they in fact are a part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is,
How many times have you said, by the way?
Education for Black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants, another $8,000. Anybody making under $70,000 a year can be able to get $15,000 toward the tuition. It's good. You just don't notice.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. So many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. And everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers theory that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security, they're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid, they're putting them in our hospitals, they're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans
Don't say that shit, Charles.
And these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such.
Never too late to tie one on.
Before.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. By the way, when I said suckers and losers, he said he acknowledged after he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one who acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two.
No, he didn't say, you fucking dick.
All these millions and millions, he talks about illegal aliens are coming into the country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates you talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump cleared up, people would like to have a recession, and inflation is going to increase in the world. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted to him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
Were they Democratic
And
ones?
so let's turn to the cost of childcare, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of childcare in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child for many families. The cost of childcare for 2 children is more than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make childcare more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other
Biden's
is-
stuck on that.
He doesn't fire people. He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people. At the
Fired
end,
Kareem.
Swamp, they were no good. Now he's gonna fire people. You pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put him there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with that the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world?
Fire fucking Buttigieg.
Allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions. Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time in this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. Look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He's the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We're the finest military in the history of the world. The finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one.
I'm screwing around with
Two,
that.
the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up.
I see some people put a message, so I figured if I hit their name,
Presidential story.
it says pinned message.
Who's the worst president in American history? One from best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. You can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care. He did virtually nothing with child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men, of single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh my God. Fourth time.
What would you do to make childcare more affordable? If you want to take the minute.
Just to understand, we have Poland, we have other things that get rid of the worst, because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the top tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life I grow up and I see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
Tattoo channel?
The fact of the matter is.
Bleach.
that the federal-
Bleach is the best thing to take your ink off.
He will increase
Straight bleach.
the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise the taxes on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. These tariffs, 10% tariffs, everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that are important. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. The middle class has been devastated by it. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. We have the largest deficit of any person.
You bankrupt the country. If we didn't pay for those fucking student loans.
Made any contact, any progress with China. We are the largest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden.
Ukraine,
Let's discuss it.
fucking Israel, fucking.
The number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling?
Close the borders.
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country. He's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
Joe, they're on a first name basis.
67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans
Hey, Donald.
in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years.
I thought my mom was the only one who called it the COVID.
And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border where it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the Ship Dog. It's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President
Even if you
Trump.
close the borders and stop the fentanyl coming in, doesn't matter how it ports, we still have enough to kill the United States 15 times over.
These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all over the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues and said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me. But he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors of fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this is just pretend. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended Catch and Release. I made a Catch and Release in Mexico, not Catch and Release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for every time we see a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly, as soon as I take office, before I take office. I said, by literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where he paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump.
Trump's gonna bail out his son.
Voters have about.
Does that count?
President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
First of all, I spent half my career because I've been the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate.
9 years old.
Besides 3 years younger than all of us.
You got two sides of the spectrum.
Look what I've done. I've turned around the hardest situation you left me. As I sent 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more invested in America, over billions of dollars in private
Millions and billions of dollars.
And then enterprises that we are growing.
At least it didn't say trillions.
Well, the whole idea of computer chips reached that 3% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a profit. So I went to South Korea and convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips. Those fabs pay over $100,000. Don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested in being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The other thing is we are.
You don't know what's going on.
We're the only single major.
I feel bad.
Good trade places in the United States. All our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and our those who we call us up from Kim Jong-un, we sent from others to Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities?
She's a cunt.
Well, I took
hate
two
her.
tests, I did a test.
I shouldn't say that.
So, as you know.
My mom said, don't ever say
Take
A.
one, just one, a real easy one. I go through the first 5 questions, you couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests, I took physical exams every year. And you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50
Big league.
He challenged me to a golf match. You can't hit a ball 50
Biden wants to play golf
I think I'm in very good
against
shape.
Trump.
I feel that I'm as in good shape as I was 25.
I would hate to
years
see
ago.
that.
Probably a little bit lighter, but I'm as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test, and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced it. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy, but he was a White House doctor, and then I took another one, similar one, and one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace.
Thank you. President Biden.
Thank you.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 225 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, he said 6'4", 200. Oh,
Shut up.
Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take it for the way he is. Look, I'd be happy to have tried.
That didn't even make any sense, did it?
Which when I was vice president, down to a 6. Yeah, but by the way, I told you.
Trump laughed at him. Babe.
You do it?
He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap. 8. I had
Let's not act like Joe.
President Trump,
Let's not act like Joe.
There was specific concern.
But they didn't block him.
Will you pledge
They
tonight
didn't block him.
that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will
Ah.
accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins? And
She stopped it because she saw that Biden was just going nowhere.
any form.
They're helping him.
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on the Twitter, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been as political as I wanted, I'll call it. Because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. The only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These awards will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these Putin, they don't respect him, they don't fear him, they have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want World War III. But you
What?
You
were the World War III.
Zeke Article 5. Attack on one is attack on all. Required response. The idea. I can't think of a single major leader in the world who would take place with the job I've done, what they do. Because we're a powerful nation. We have wonderful, it's because of the people, not me, it's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, they step up and they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because of our own safety of the state. And again, we want to have a war, just like Putin, go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question
Secret.
was, will you
Chilies.
accept the results of this election,
Ronald Reagan.
regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I'm right. Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from
And
Obama
seaweed.
and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. And now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people, they're running out of soldiers, they've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked.
President Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins, yes or no, please?
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up by numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see, you're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accept it.
He's turning
verbal.
We'll be right back.
The roles have been reversed. Trump usually is dissing Biden. And usually Trump's the one that runs over in the time, but it's reversed. Well, for the tattooers, I am going to go rinse this. You generally keep the bleach in there for like 15, 20 minutes. That'll take all of the shit off there. You'll see. Okay. Well, you know what? I might have been out of earreach. Okay, so until that comes back on, and I'm getting that double feed as well.
There it is so far. That's what I'm going to be putting on my son.
We're trying to figure out a day that he can come over. Again, this during these breaks, what I'm going to do.
Oh wait, what did Charles say? What? Charles is saying every time he comments, every time I write a comment, I get kicked off the channel and need to reboot.
That's weird.
Channel activity.
I use it. No. Message remove.
No, and I don't even know how to highlight the messages, like when we're watching Bob, how he pins the messages and it goes on the screen. I don't even know how to do. I keep getting that feedback,
motherfucker. Okay. Between commercial, getting the feedback again is worse.
It's weird because there are no filters.
I don't know.
There's no filters.
That's what he said.
Hit the screen. Hit the screen. Tap the screen. Just push it anywhere.
Where?
Right there. Push it. Okay. I don't know. Nope. Never mind.
No, I mean, there's no filters, there's no blocks, there's
No, I was wondering if that had one. Okay. Look at him.
Significant progress in the debacle of those left by President Trump in his last term. find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I asked anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is, that I said, nobody would make it under $400,000 had a single penny increase in the taxes in the whole line. And if I'm mayor, I think that will be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he found himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything within the United States of America. What I did, well, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare to, for the ability to, for the,
Oh my God.
drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 instead of $400, no more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter what how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior, all along, it's happening now, and everybody in America who wants to get rid of that. We want to make sure we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit that people have for child care. We're going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I have no idea what he said. It's just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all the stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you. Because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers. For our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and ready and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full.
You hope what?
We take questions from the crowd. I got a question.
The fuck happened?
Whoever's, that's not ours, that's whoever's.
That's CNN.
What?
That's CNN, baby.
What happened?
It's the end of the world.
What?
She didn't do the closing. That's it?
President Trump, President Biden, stay with us because we have full
Ah, Charles. Maybe they're gonna take phone calls and shit. I would have to end this live stream to ask Biden a question. How many times did you shit your pants during the interview? Oh yeah, and an inflation thing. But the shit comes first. I'm getting feedback. The next live stream, I promise, will be better. Only because I don't believe my wife is 110% behind. Or she would have an iPad holder. I came here to start something. No, I think that's it.
We're live from Georgia.
Yep.
Key battleground state in the race to the White House.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. You know what? Fuck it, Charles. It's the last 15 minutes. I don't give a fuck. Dude, thank you very much. I will talk to you soon. I know I'm gonna get kicked off of this, so fuck it, I don't care. No, they're gonna kick me off that. Oh, it started all over again. I don't know what to do. This won't stop. Okay. Those of you watching on a tattoo channel and think that I'm fucking retarded, it's give me a feedback. It fucks with my mind. Okay, here it is. This is what I'll be putting on my son. And I might put it on myself. Well, I know I'm going to put it on myself. Maybe Saturday or something. All right. Thanks.